their risk factors are an equal consideration to the diagnosis, where if they don't have risk factors, it's not. So that's where Simeo and what we know about musculoskeletal health risk factors is really helping me become not a better diagnostician. The diagnosis is 50% of the equation. The prognosis is diagnosis plus risk factors equals prognosis. And so grade 1 ankle sprain with a boatload of musculoskeletal risk factors and regional interdependence means you could be limping 2 months from now if we don't do this. You could have a grade 3 ankle and no risk factors, and give me about 3 weeks. I will have you almost there. And so too many people have invested quite a lot of time and technology in the silo of musculoskeletal part-based diagnosis, not realizing the system's in a toxic lifestyle. You're not even going to get good feedback loop. You could do everything right, and the feedback loop you need to be a good clinician isn't going to be there because you didn't line up the dominoes first. You just started shoving on dominoes, wondering why you didn't get this great party trick that you get sometimes. Well, they're not ready.
Well, you know, we mentioned Simeo, and Simeo is just what we designed is a wellness screen to try to identify the minimum things that we know that matter and give the person the ability to check themselves over time, whether it's an Oura Ring or a Whoop or whatever it is, just a way to keep your eye on the gauges. And my last question for you, Lisa, is, you know, we got to keep our eye on the gauges. We also need to understand and make sure that the people that we're working with understand it's going to change. They can walk out the door today and feel great, and you just patted them on the back. And this is what I'm going to ask you, Lisa. Pat them on the back and say, "Great job. They're feeling great. You're being discharged." But 2 weeks from now, their gauges are changed because life gets in the way. Everything's a behavior. So, what's that transition look like for you, Lisa, with some of your patients to when you're taking this holistic approach? What are some of the things you look for when you say, "Okay, they're ready to go"? But what advice do you give them to say, hey, you need to keep track of these things. And if these things get below the threshold, remember, good enough, do they come back in, or how do you make that transition?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So the majority of patients, what we try to encourage is either to move into our preventative program or to have some kind of a maintenance, whether it's coming in, some come in monthly, some come in quarterly. But just like you'd bring your car in to have your car checked, it's like bring your body in to get your body checked so we could get ahead of these things, right? And then giving them tools, saying, hey, let's find a wearable where you could be tracking. Let's use Simeo to be tracking, lifestyle. So you're getting some information that you can self-monitor, and then kind of saying, okay, look, I'm giving you these things, here's your home program, here's, different tools that you can use. If you see that you can't, like your heart rate variability is staying low and you just can't change it, or, you're finding that this muscle's starting to feel tight again. And no matter what exercises I do, I'm starting to feel that tightness or lack of mobility, and the things I've given you are not working, then that should be a red light. Hey, come on in. Let's take a look. So trying to give them self-management tools that they can use and identify when there's going to be a problem and what they can do on their own, and then when it's time to come back in.